Welcome today. Today I have a special guest here to Lavoz Latina show. It was a privilege for me to have somebody here as important as the person I'm going to introduce to you. First of all, you saw the end of the credits about Men of Honor. And it's a great movie. It's a true story about a gentleman called Brashier. In the studio today, I have the honor to have here at the studio his son, Phillip Brashear, Chief Warrant Officer 4 for the U.S. Army. The guy flies helicopters. The guy flew the Black Hawk. I mean, you name it. So, Chief, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You know, I had to put my little Army hat on because I like to show the people, you know, I was in the Army too. It's a pleasure to have you here. You know, you don't see too many, you know, it's hard to see a pilot that's African American descendant. It's beautiful to see somebody that stands tall and people and kids can go, wow, I want to be like him. If I was a kid, I'd do the same thing. I'd be like, I want to be like him. I want to fly a helicopter. Matter of fact, if I can, I would like to ride in a helicopter. Welcome to the show, Phillip. And, you know, just a little bit about you. You're the son of Carl Brashier.
I'm the number 3 son of my parents, Carl and June Brashier.
Brashier. And you've been in the service for how long?
I've been in the service over 30 years.
30 years. And you've been flying helicopters your whole time?
Actually, I've been flying helicopters for the past 20 years.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. And now you're stationed here in Virginia.
At Fort Eustis in Newport News.
At Newport News. Now, I'm so full of emotions because I'm here with, to me, I feel like I'm with a hero. Now, most of everybody's seen the movie called Men of Honor. And the Men of Honor is about your father.
Yes.
And I think your father was from Kentucky, if I'm not mistaken.
He was from Kentucky.
From Kentucky. And he was, according to the movie, according to what I read, he was the son of a sharecropper, right?
That's right.
And his father told him never to quit.
That's right. Never quit, never give up.
Never give up. And so much you look now with kids nowadays, they just quit on whatever they're doing. Now, I'm not saying all the kids, but some kids, like, they just give up. They just don't want to, you know, go forward with it. And if you have a dream, go ahead and do it. Now, let me ask a question about you. When did you decide to go in the service? You was 18?
Actually, I grew up, and during the time when I was during my formative years, Apollo was the big NASA project that was going on. We had gone to the moon. We had all the NASA Apollo projects. And my first dream was to be an astronaut.
Really?
That's what I really dreamed of being when I was a little kid.
Right, right.
Yes. And what happened is I joined the military after a year in college as a Navy reservist down in Norfolk. Mm-hmm. And I stayed in for about 8 years, and I was riding in the back of Navy helicopters. And one day I decided, you know, I wonder how it would be to be up front. But I couldn't do it at the time because I didn't have my college degree. Mm-hmm. So I had to join the Army National Guard here in Richmond at the Richmond Airport. And the colonel in charge said, if you join the National Guard here in Richmond, I'll send you to flight school. And that's what I did back in 1990. 1990.
Now, when you joined the National Guard here in Richmond, they knew who you was? Did they know who you was?
Actually, my father's story wasn't as well known as it is now back then when I joined. So no, I can't say that his influence helped me get in the Army National Guard.
Well, you know, so that's good. Now let me go back a little bit. We know that the influence was not there, but when the movie came out, I guess people got to know who your father was. And
actually, I got to know who my father was.
Really?
You know, we grew up and he never brought any of the trials or tribulations home with him from the military. Growing up, it was just that he was in the Navy, we would go to the cookouts, we would go to the ship. He never brought his hardships home. So I never knew all the things that he went through. Mm-hmm. I learned some things when the movie came out and I saw it for the first time, because he never brought any of that hardship home to us as the family.
So when your father finally, when the movie came out, and well, let me back up a little bit. Cuba Gooding Jr., who was the idea of bringing your father's story to the theaters?
Actually, when my father retired from the Navy in 1979, they wanted to do a movie then. It wasn't until my father started having a lot of dialogue with Stan Robertson, who is Bill Cosby's right-hand man, back in 1995. And as things progressed from 1995 on is when the movie came out in 2000. But they wanted to do a movie back in 1979 when my dad retired. It just didn't have the horsepower in Hollywood to get it done.
Right. And when you say the horsepower, you mean like, you know, I'm looking at how Hollywood is. You know, sometimes you look at Hollywood, you're like, okay, did they really want to do a black movie? You know, African-American movie back in 79? Probably not, you know?
Maybe not.
But now the Hollywood is kind of, we're not saying it's changing, but it seems like they can see, and we know this because they can see the money potential on the movie. See, they don't look at the story sometimes, they look at how much they can bring in. Mm-hmm. And most of the big wigs in Hollywood, they say, well, what's the bottom dollar?
Right.
And I'm not saying that it's true, but it can be a possibility there. Look, well, why don't we can make some money off of it? You look at Tyler Perry movies, a lot of people go to see these movies and they're like, oh, okay, you know, nice movie, you know, they get into the movie, right. But we're looking at how much money the guy's making.
That's right.
So enough of Tyler Perry, let's talk about your father. Now, once he found out, you said in the 90s is when they found out they wanted to do the movie?
Actually, it was around 1994 when a lot of the subject of the movie came up with Bill Cosby and his right-hand man, Stan Robertson.
Okay, and how's the movie got involved to it? I know that I saw some pictures where he was on the set of the making of the movie. Mm-hmm. And so is Cuba Gooding Jr. got with your father, kind of learned the way your father, you know, was
he had
going?
Cuba Gooding Jr. had a lot of interaction with my father to learn his mannerisms, the way he held himself, the way he carried himself. And he did a pretty good job in the movie portraying some of my father's characteristics. Mm-hmm. And I tell you, my father said that there was no other person he could think of except for Cuba who could do the things that he did to portray him in the movie. Also, so your father actually had like an influence about who he wanted to pick to play him in the movie? Yes, he did.
Wow. I mean, interesting because you always think of, okay, let's pick this guy here and he's going to be playing Carl Brashier. Right. But actually your father had an influence on who he was going to pick for this movie.
He was actually hired by Fox Studios to be a military consultant so they could get a lot of the facts of the movie straight as they filmed it.
Now, I noticed on the movie, if you look at the movie and you look at the part where he's in the naval yard, I guess the naval place in Bayonne, New Jersey.
Yes.
And you can see when he first walked in there and, you know, he was not welcome. And I noticed that some of the divers they used in the movie, actually Navy divers. Some of the divers they used for the movie, it was like, you know, yeah, I'm actually a Navy diver, but he plays like a racist guy. You know, it's amazing how you can take now people, actually military people, and be able to put in that character, you know, from back in the day, 1954, I mean, right. Imagine.
Yeah, so yeah, they did a pretty good job with that.
Wow, that was amazing. And you know, let's go through some pictures. If we can get our director back there to go to the first picture that we have put on the wall and talk about it once we get him in there. Director's kind of a little busy back there. But anyway, let's go for it. That first picture there that we see on the screen.
That first picture is actually my father after he lost his leg in Portsmouth, Virginia at the Naval Hospital, doing his rehabilitative training to get back into condition to wear that 300-pound diving suit.
Now, on the movie, we noticed that they bring that suit out there kind of towards the end of the movie, and he knew then when he was in the hospital that they was going to bring that new suit?
No, actually, the courtroom scene is fictional.
Okay.
They actually had my dad do a series of rehabilitative tests for months. It didn't just happen in a courtroom scene, it was done. He had to go through months of training, and of course he knew he had to wear the suit. So this picture displays some of the training that he had to go through to get in condition to wear that suit.
Okay, now if we're gonna go to the second picture is on the, I'm imagine, and once we get the director back there, where we can get the second picture, it's at the set of the movie Men of Honor.
Yes.
And you can see you got Cuba Gooding Jr. and we had Carl Brashear at the set of the movie. Now, that movie was filming.
It was basically filmed in Long Beach, California, Rainier, Washington.
Rainier, Washington. You had a chance to be in the set when this happened?
I got a chance to go to the set in Portland, Oregon, and I got a chance to be on the set in Long Beach, California.
Wow, it has to be interesting to be in that set and go like, wow, that's my father. You know, he's playing my father. And you had a chance to meet Cuba Gooding Jr., right?
Oh, I sure did.
Wow. Now, on the third picture we're going to show, it's going to be a young Carl Brashear.
That was my father in 1948 when he first joined the Navy.
1948, wow. And it looked like an outstanding picture there, right? Standing tall.
Yes.
You know, I don't know, man. It looked like y'all two kind of look similar as, you know, got that look like, you know, wow, you know, standing tall and proud. Now, the fourth picture we're going to show is what?
The fourth picture is after my father lost his leg preparing for a dive. He's got the tender who's helping him put on his suit, and he has to sit at attention so that they can get all the structure and all the ribbons and all the ties and everything straight. And this is about the last step before they put the helmet on.
Okay. And do you kind of recall what year that was, around what year that was?
That was about 1969.
Now, let's go to the movie. And we're talking about the part when the bomb was dropped, was two planes collided, and at the coast of Spain.
Yes.
Your father was actually the person that found that bomb.
His team, yes.
His team found the bomb.
His team found it.
Now, tell me more about that scene on that movie where he's, that part with the submarine, that is true, or they just put that in there to
No,
make it?
the submarine scene is fake. They threw
fake.
that in there for dramatization.
Dramatization.
Yes.
But his team, how many divers did you think he told you they had on the bottom of the ocean looking for this bomb?
Oh, it was a big operation. The Navy had to find these nuclear weapons because they were in international waters.
Right.
If anybody were to have found them before the Navy, they could have claimed them and took them for themselves. So it was a big operation to get these nuclear weapons back in U.S. custody.
Wow. You know, did your father ever tell you how deep Haven went?
No.
No. Because, you know, I'm looking at, I'm from Puerto Rico. And I go snorkeling. And when I get to 20 feet, I'm like, okay, it's time to go up. You know, I'm imagining somebody with a heavy suit and a big metal helmet on the bottom of the ocean. You know it's dark. You know you got to use flashlight. I mean, I guess, you know, to see. Now, let's go to the last picture. And the last picture, I'm imagining, is doing a rehab at the hospital.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You have to have a certain amount of dexterity, balance, and coordination to wear that heavy dive suit and be able to coordinate your movements in it. So here they were just showing his coordination with his leg, able to do a deep knee bend squat.
Wow.
And that he could still keep his balance even though he had an artificial leg.
And you know, on the movie, you see Cuba Gooding Jr. doing some exercises, running like around a track, and he played that so well. I mean,
yes, he did.
Like he has to, like you know, he's actually missing his leg.
Yes.
You know, part of, you know, from, now, did your father lost what, from the knee down? Or?
Right below the knee. He had about 6
knee.
inches of a stump, and then he had his prosthetic leg.
Wow, amazing. Now, I have some other pictures here that we're gonna go and check out. And before we check these ones out that I have here, I have another one of him lifting some weights. And we can get the camera guy to kind of zoom into this picture and have the director go right to it. That look a lot of weight there that your father was lifting up, right?
Yeah, my dad was pretty stout. He was a pretty wide, strong man.
Right. Wow. Amazing. And let's keep the camera there. And I'm going to switch to another picture. And this picture is on a set of Men of Honor. I'm imagining your father already knew who Robert De Niro was.
Oh, yes, he did. He knew who Robert De Niro was.
And be able to be there. I mean, you must cherish these pictures here. Because, I mean, you know, Robert De Niro is not like a known actor. He's a known, well-known actor.
Yes, he is.
And he plays in some movies that you're like, wow, you know, Robert De Niro actually playing a part in this movie along with Cuba Gooding Jr. And did your father stood on the set for a long time? Did he hang there?
Oh, my father spent a lot of time on the movie set during the whole filming process.
Wow, amazing. And, I mean, you can see your father's face and you're like, he's serious about this, you know?
Yes, oh yes.
Serious
Oh, yes.
about it. Wonderful, wonderful. Let me get to another picture I have here. And before we get to that one, I saw another one. Now, this one is the premiere of the movie at the White House.
Right. Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton had my father at the White House as a guest. And, of course, some of the supporting cast of the movie, the director, the screenwriter.
Okay.
Had him at the White House for a screening of the movie.
Wow. And Bill Clinton was then the president of the United States.
Of course.
So you have Bill Clinton, you have Hillary, and you have your father, and then you have, say it again?
The screenwriter, director, and producer.
Wow.
Yes.
You had a chance to be there when this happened or no?
No, I wasn't in D.C. for that
He was
event.
in D.C. But did your father tell you about it?
Oh, yes, he did.
What did he say about it when he was there?
He enjoyed it. He said Bill Clinton was a very personal guy. Hillary was real nice to him. It was just a family event they had at the White House. He said everybody treated him well.
Wow. You being here and be able to be part of this, I've seen the movie plenty of times. And every time it comes on, I have to watch it again because the story, it shows you about being strong and take your dream as far as you can. And I'm so proud of your father, of what he done and what he did during the time that he was in the Navy and be able to be there. Now, let me go to another picture now. This picture, next picture, is the boat that was named after your father.
Actually, they would get offended if you called it a boat.
Oh, okay.
In the Navy, it's a ship.
It's a ship. See, that's why I was in the Army.
Yes, that's a picture of the United States naval ship Phillip Brashear. It's a TAKE supply ship that works for the Military Sea Lift Command.
And what they do is they bring ammunition, petroleum, fuel and stuff like that. And without that, the military won't be able to be supported there. The ships are there.
Well, right, that picture of that ship shows you about a $500 million investment that the Navy made, and they named that after my father.
Well, it's amazing to have something named after your father,
Sure
you know?
is.
I mean, you can see, can you imagine you flying your helicopter and seeing the boat with, oh, whoa, that's my father right there.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
Now, your father was not alive when this happened, or he was?
No, the ship was christened. This is the christening ceremony when it first went into the water back in 2009. My father passed away in 2006.
2006, wow.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, now, before we go to all the pictures, I want to talk about the movie a little bit. The scene that he's laying in the hospital, okay? And he's, brings some mail, and he received this package, apparently with a book about amputee soldiers. Now, you look back, and let me just pull something out again so we kind of people understand what I'm coming with this for. Robert De Niro played the guy that trained your father.
Right.
And eventually probably was more than just one, but imagine they use his character.
Right.
He sent the book to your father while he was laying in the hospital.
That's right.
And the reason he did is for him to...
Well, think about it. I guess what the movie is trying to portray is even though Robert De Niro's character started off disliking my father,
right,
a mutual respect came about because my father proved that he could perform no matter what his color was. So evidently, then they was trying to show that the superior saw this and that the superior, Robert De Niro's character, started getting respect for my father and started to help him along, even though at that time in the movie that you're referring to, he just lost his leg. He didn't want his shipmate to quit or give up. So he gave him some fight.
Now, on the movie, I don't know, you probably remember the scene where he's at the bar and Robert De Niro's girlfriend or wife kind of makes Cuba Gooding Jr. go into the bar with her. And, everybody looked at him like, what you doing here?
Right.
And that was kind of something that happened where he had to prove, they had like a little competition who was...
Actually, at a lot of Navy bars back in those days, a lot of guys did a lot of crazy things.
Right.
I'm sure my father wasn't welcome at some of the places that he frequented, but they were just trying to show that my father was just going to go against the odds and push further and to walk into an establishment that was normally back then an all-white establishment.
Wow. Your father went through a lot growing up, and able to persevere and stand tall and say, I can do this. I can do this. And before we go to these pictures, I think we have a call coming in, and I want to make sure that this call comes through.
Okay.
Because I want to show you something that you probably know this person. And this is a small world. I say because it's a small world because this is my uncle here. You know this guy.
I've been knowing him my whole life.
Your whole life. This is my wife's uncle. And the funny thing about it is when I talked to you and I told you who this guy was,
yes.
Let's get over here to the call. Hello, you're welcome.
Hey, Dave.
All right, DV Jr., the DV Senior, I'm glad you called.
Oh, okay.
I have somebody here that you know.
What did I do?
Yes, his name is Phillip Brashear.
Oh,
How you doing, DV?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
What in the world are you doing in Richmond?
Well, this is where I live now.
Oh, I thought you was in California.
No, right here in Richmond, Virginia.
He's in California with Hollywood.
Oh, okay.
Now, David Jr., David Sr., I want to ask a question. You know Carl Brashier, right?
Do I know who?
Carl Brashear, his father.
Oh, yeah, I know Carl. Me and him are best buddies.
All right. Now, he used to live right across from you, right?
He used to do what?
He used to live right across from you?
Yeah, well, it was right up the street.
Right up the street.
In the same neighborhood.
So you know Carl Brashear when Phillip was a little kid, right?
Wait a minute. Hold on. Repeat that, you say?
I say you know Carl Brashear when Phillip was a little kid, right?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have to get him? You ever have to get him straight?
If I did what now?
You ever have to get him straight? Make sure that he do the right thing?
Oh, I knew I did that when he was little, see.
Well,
Yeah,
Uncle,
he knows better not to get off the course that I taught him.
well, I'm glad you called, Uncle Dewey. You know, I appreciate you calling. You got anything you want to say to Mr. Brashear?
Yeah, let me talk to him then.
I'm right here.
He's right here.
Oh, Carl, Phillip, how you been?
I'm doing fine. I just went over 30 years flying helicopters in the Army and doing okay.
Oh, you doing okay? You still in the Army, huh?
I'm stationed at Fort Eustis right now on active duty in Newport News.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, so that's good. Only thing, I missed the Navy, but it won't take me back, so I was too old.
Well, thank you, Uncle Dewey, and I will call you back later, okay?
Okay, do that, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Now I will tell you something.
Uh-huh.
Growing up, Mr. Jones and another gentleman named Mr. Douglas, who lived right across the street from us in the neighborhood, were like second fathers. When my father was out to sea, I always had Mr. Jones, and I had a man named Mr. Douglas that always looked out for me, and they were both Navy chiefs in the Navy.
Wow. You know, it's a small world. You look at now that we can show the picture. This is actually my wife's uncle.
Yeah.
And I call him uncle because he's a real nice guy. He always say, and I'm not lying, he says, this is my favorite nephew. You know, I got to throw that in there. It's a small world because when I talk to you and I mentioned, well, first of all, I talked to my uncle because I wanted to ask him, did he know your father?
Right.
And he was like, oh, yeah, he lived right across the street from me. Like, what, really?
Oh, they were drinking buddies and everything.
Wow.
They were best friends.
Wow.
Yes, they were.
It's amazing, man. This is a small world.
It really is.
Small world. And I wanted him to call and talk to you because when he told me that he knew you since you was a kid, and wow.
Yes, it is a small world. It is a small world.
Now let me go back to some more pictures. First of all, I got one more picture here with President Clinton, Hillary Clinton, and your father. I guess it's right after the premiere of the movie.
Mm-hmm, right there at the White House.
Okay. And let's see, here we go, the picture right there. You can see President Clinton, you see your father, Carl Brashear, and you see Hillary Clinton. And now we'll go to another picture. Now this picture's here, this is you right here.
This is me.
This is you right here. Well, first of all, before I go there, let me show them where your father used to have to get on to, right here. This is your father.
Right.
And this is a 300-pound
dive suit, Mark V dive suit.
Wow.
That's what he used to wear.
Wow. Let me go back. On the movie, it showed him as a little kid jumping on the,
in the pond,
lake.
yes.
In the pond?
Yes.
And they say things that he said he used to do when he was a kid?
Well, my dad back in Kentucky, rural Kentucky, would, swim in the rivers and the ponds and get bit by snapping turtles and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
But let me tell you, swimming has nothing to do with diving.
Right.
Being a great swimmer has nothing to do with putting that suit on and performing your job down in the water, because you don't swim.
Right, you don't swim, you walk in.
That's right.
Then heavy boots, imagine, and all that weight, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me talk about you a little bit, and let me go to a picture of you, and this is where you fly now.
That's the helicopter I fly now, the CH-47 Chinook.
Chinook.
Army Chinook.
And I'm gonna tell you what, this thing can pretty much pick heavy equipment up, right?
It's a heavy lift helicopter, yes it is.
Heavy lift helicopter. You can see right here, this is you. And now what this picture was taken at?
Actually, this picture was taken at my Army National Guard unit that I used to belong to right here at the Richmond Airport.
Oh, wow.
So this picture was taken right here in Richmond at the airport.
Wow.
I flew it there to take some of the guardsmen for a ride. So I went back to my old unit to show off a little bit.
Oh, sure.
And I actually put some of the guys in the back of the helicopter and flew them around Richmond.
Y'all guys want to go for a ride later on? Yeah. Now, I got another picture here. And this picture, I'm not going to mention the names there yet, but let's zoom into this picture here. And I want to show you, this is you right here. Now, this is a Black Hawk.
That's a Black Hawk. I used to fly Black Hawks.
Black Hawk. Now, if everybody can see this picture at home, you see that this guy right here is Chuck Norris.
That's right.
So that you was like the taxi for him that day, huh?
Yeah, well, I flew him around Iraq. I got to fly Chuck Norris around Iraq when he came to visit the troops.
Wow. Now, who's this guy next right there that somebody did?
Actually, I can't recall the gentleman's name, but he's also a Hollywood actor, but I can't recall his name at the moment. But he was touring with Chuck Norris.
With Chuck Norris?
Yes.
Wow. Hey, we got Hollywood in here, y'all. We got Hollywood. Cuba Gooding Jr., Robert De Niro, Chuck Norris. I don't know what you're going to do next. All right, and the next picture here is where?
This was taken in Iraq. At the time, Admiral Mullen was the chief of naval operations. He was aware of my father's death, and this picture was taken a few months later when he was doing a tour in Iraq, and he called me out, and I got to meet him again in Iraq. And this is us in Iraq in the at Al-Taqatum, and we got a chance to visit and talk with each other then.
Wow.
Now, he became the Joint Chiefs of Staff in Washington, D.C., but he since retired about a month ago. But he was the Chief of Naval Operations. He ascended to the Joint Chiefs of Staff in control of all the military, and now he's retired.
And this is in Iraq?
This picture is in Iraq.
Well, I didn't know Iraq had trees, but I guess I much don't know. I don't come out too much. And then the next picture we're going to see is you, and everybody know who this young man right here. That is Doug Wilder, our former governor. And what was this taken at?
This was taken at the Trailblazers dinner in 2007. But I will tell you, Doug Wilder was a good friend of my father's. They were awarded on certain different occasions together. So they've had a relationship of being at the same banquets and dinner functions and whatnot because two well-known black people out of the state of Virginia.
Wow. Wow, interesting, man. I mean, you know, this is wonderful to have you here and bring all these stories about you and your father. Now, you planning to stay in the military until they let you go, right?
You know what? As a warrant officer, I can stay until I'm 60 years old. I'm 49 now. I really don't plan on getting out until I have to.
You enjoy flying helicopters?
I enjoy it. I love it.
Right. That's wonderful. Now, let's go back to the movie and kind of talk about more about the movie. Now, we know that he sent the book to your father while he was laying there for him to be more, to go out there and prove himself that he can do it, even though he was missing his leg.
Right.
And did your father talk about more, anything about what happened, what was going on?
Actually, when my father lost his leg, I was 4 years old. And like I said, he never brought any of that home. I knew in our household, you couldn't say the word I can't. It was either I will or I'll try. You either succeeded or you failed trying to succeed. He never would let us say the word I can't, because if you say I can't, you won't.
And you took some of that of him with you in life. You like decided to, you know what, man, you know, this is something that I want to take with me. I want to be able to succeed and do the best I can. Yeah,
well, remember I told you I wanted to be an astronaut. I didn't make it to be an astronaut, but I tell you, I followed in the same legacy of the Tuskegee Airmen. Because if it wasn't for those guys, I wouldn't be flying military aircraft.
That's right. That's right. And I'm so proud of you that you actually took it to a step. But, you know, young people out there need to understand that they need to take a page from your book and say, you know what, I want to be like him. I want to be like Phillip Brashear. Man, your father was famous. We know that he did the things when he was young, trying to be a Navy diver and trying to accomplish things. But later on in life, people were able to see and hear that, wow, what this guy went through in life. and look at them now, you know. We got some calls coming in because I want people to ask you questions.
Okay.
And we don't know who these people are, but I can cut them off anytime I want to.
Oh, that's right.
So don't act crazy. Make sure you act professional.
Okay.
It's so wonderful. I'm so happy for you to be here, and I appreciate it. Let's take a call. Thank you for calling Lavoz Latina. Who I'm speaking with?
Hey, man, what a great show, man. What a great show you guys got going there. I would just like to ask the gentleman, Mr. Brashear, what would he tell the youth when it comes to wanting to join the military? Because it seems like the military has been so good to his family and his legacy. What would be the advice he would give the young brothers and sisters out here that are looking to do something with their lives other than working in a McDonald's or a Radio Shack?
Good question.
I tell you what, any young person wanting to go into the military that really wants to do it, I would tell them go for it. It's a way to further your education, and I would say, hey, the military is going to use you. They're going to get what they want out of you. You have to perform a job. But there's so much money for education, for a good life. Use them right back. Use that money for an education. There's no reason any military member should finish his career without having a great education to fall back on in life.
Well put together, well put together. I mean, you know, kids need to understand that you can do better in life.
That's right.
And you look at your father's story and you go like, wow, you know, look at everything he went through. You know, we have it made now. We know the racism is still out there. We know they're still lingering around in certain places. But you look at what your father went through when he was young and to his now. And kids need to reflect on that, say, wow, you know what? Look at Martin Luther King. Look at your father, what they went through in life and able to succeed. And kids now need to look at that and go, hey, hold on a minute, you know what? Why should people die in vain? Why they should, I can do better.
That's right.
You know, I can do better. Look at you, you're a warrant officer. You know, W4. You pretty much, you run things and you rank.
Well, I tell you, it's a shame that those people that came before us bled, sweat, and died for the rights that we have today. It's a dishonor not to take your life to a higher limit based on their sacrifices.
That is true.
So we owe them.
That's right, we owe them, and we need to look at it and go, you know what, I need to step up now. Now I need to step up. Most kids now think that we're young forever. We're not.
That's right.
You know, we have to look for a future. I'm sure that I don't want to sit back in a little room just counting on that Social Security check or that little welfare check for me to survive. There's other things you can do in life. And I think you're a pilot. You know, you fly helicopters. Wow, you know, if I can go back in time, I want to be a helicopter or a fighter pilot, you know? But we need to take our lessons and go out there and do it right. Don't just you stand back and expect everything to be thrown at you. You got to earn it, you know? And your father earned it.
That's right.
He did what he did. And look at him, you know, a movie out there with his name on it, stories about him. Everybody can relate to your father. You go 20 years back and nobody knew who your father was. But once they found out who he was, it was like, wow, look at everything that he did before the movie and after the movie. Got a ship named after him.
That's right.
Interesting.
That's right.
Now, tell me more about your career. I want to talk about you a little bit because we got plenty of time.
Well, I wanted to join the Navy Reserves. I did that back in 1981 because what happened is I went to ODU for a year on a wrestling scholarship. And I actually flunked out. I didn't do any of my work like I was supposed to. I actually flunked out. And I didn't have anything to fall back on, so I decided I'm going to join the Navy Reserves. And I joined the Navy Reserves, and I wanted to do something different. Like I said, I would see the guys in the front of those helicopters, but I figured, man, they can't be that much smarter than me, so I wanted to fly. And I achieved that dream through the Army National Guard. That went on for years, and I got to say, after my Iraq deployment from 2005 to 2007, I experienced a lot of death, even the death of my father during that time. I came back from Iraq feeling kind of depressed, and I decided I was going to retire from the Army National Guard. A year later, I was going through some of my dad's stuff, and I said, you know what? My dad didn't quit. Yes, I did see a lot of death in Iraq, and I experienced the death of my father. I decided, you know what, I'm still young, I'm still healthy enough to go do it. I jumped right back into the Army Reserves and joined the unit down at Fort Eustis. And from then on, my career has just been progressing.
Wow. See, that's what I call not a quitter. You looked at it and you know it's like you want to, it's like a movie shot. You know, you was looking through the picture, say, my father was not a quitter.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? You stepped up and you kept the legacy of your father on. People might not see it like that, but I see it that way. I see it as you wanted to honor your father and keep your commitment going as a good person, not a quitter.
Right.
But a soldier to stand straight and move forward.
That's right.
Now, once you went back, when you say you experienced, let me go back a little bit. You experienced on death, you saw a lot of soldiers get killed.
I saw a lot of soldiers get killed. In fact, during my spare time when I was in Iraq, I would volunteer at the hospital, and I would pull the litters off of the helicopters and bring the wounded back into the surgical wards. And I did that at Al-Assad and Al-Taqaddum, and I experienced a lot of death. Right. I saw a lot of death. I saw a lot of young men leave this earth.
Right.
And it does something to you.
Right. I believe it does, man. I never experienced that. When I was back in 79 through 85, we was during the Cold War. There was nothing cold about it because I don't remember it being cold. but I know that you went through war. You was in the war zone. You did things. You seen things that it kind of probably make you think a little bit. And sometimes we have to reflect on the things that we've been through life in order to move forward. We cannot let the scars of our life kind of destroy us. Scars of our life was places where we used to be at.
That's right.
Now we're going to move forward. We're not going to worry about the scars that we carry with us. It's just like what God says, you know, leave my burdens with me and move on. You know,
right.
And sometimes we kids need to understand that we cannot let things bother our minds and, oh, you know, I feel sorry because, no, move forward, step forward and say, you know what, I can do better. I'm going to stand straight and I'm going to keep moving forward. Be strong.
That's what I did.
And that's what you did.
That's what I did.
Now, you had a chance to spend some time with your father before he passed away.
Oh,
now,
yes.
And if I'm not mistaken, once I seen the movie, I wanted to learn more about your father. I'm a history guy. I like to read about things. And I read about your father. And I read about you where you was able to come home and spend some time with him before he passed away.
I got home from Iraq 6,000 miles away on a Thursday, went straight to the Portsmouth Naval Hospital where he was. And I walked in that door and my father said to me, I'm not leaving this hospital. But me being so, I guess, jaded from coming out of combat, I didn't really listen to him. My father was telling me then he wasn't going to leave that hospital. But we got a chance to spend time in the hospital. I slept in the hospital room with them at the Portsmouth Naval Hospital. They took care of us. They fed us. Me and my father talked and laughed and joked. Monday night, he suffered a stroke. And Tuesday afternoon, when he finally passed, I was right there at his bedside.
Wow. You know, sometimes you wonder how, you know, people say, you know, we don't know. My belief is that our thinking and what we think about is not God's way. Only God knows what He does, and we don't have the same thinking that God has.
Right.
We cannot think what God is thinking, but sometimes we wondering if God put us in a position to say, "I want you to go home, and spend time with your family." Same thing happened to me. My sister passed away, and there was a way that God kind of took me there and say, "You need to be there," even though I didn't know this, but you need to be there because this is the last. You know,
that's right.
The last time. And for you to have a chance to spend with your father, it must have been God's way to say, you need to go home.
That's right.
Be there with your father because, you know, you are your father's example of how we should live. How your father took you say, you know, this is my son. You know, look at him. You know, he fly helicopter for the military, for the army. He stand tall. He's not a quitter. And for you to be there for him, it must have been something that might have taught you, be able to be with him and say, you know, Pops, I'm here. You know, I'm here with you, and able to spend the last time with him. Sometimes we take for granted by our parents. You know, you see kids out there not respecting their parents, not doing what they're supposed to do, and sometimes I've seen with my eyes and heard with my ears that, oh, I don't listen to my mom, you know.
Right.
But when they're gone, we realize that we missed them.
That's right.
So we have to cherish every time we have with them as much as possible. Tell me some more about you. Let's talk more. You married?
Married, yeah. We got a beautiful wife who's from Hampton, Virginia. I'm originally from Portsmouth. We had an 18-year-old daughter, and when that 18-year-old daughter, of course, was 18, I talked my wife into having our son. My wife was close to 40. So I always say I talked my wife into having another child after she didn't have one for 18 years.
Wow.
So I talked my wife into that, but I tell you what, I don't think I can talk her into anything else after that. I think my talking into her stuff days are over.
Right. Now your wife, you say she's from Hampton?
Hampton.
Hampton. And you was born here in Portsmouth.
Actually, I was born in Honolulu, Hawaii, exactly 11 months after Barack Obama was born in Honolulu, Hawaii.
Wow. Wow.
Exactly 11 months to the day.
Look at that. Now, your son is here.
My son is here.
He's here at the studio. And I wonder if we can get him, our directors in the back, let this son come over here and kind of introduce your son here. And your son goes to...
Yeah, he goes to Elko Middle School in Sansom, Virginia.
Sansom, Virginia. Let's come over here and step for a minute over here. and are you proud? Come on, stand back here for a minute. You proud of your father?
Yes.
And are you looking forward to be like your father?
Yes.
All right. And what is your name?
Tyler Brashier.
Brashier. And you know about, now I remember now, let me go back. You was in your church with your father, and I remember, can't remember, it was Reverend Hall mentioned something about your grandfather. And you was shaking your head like, yeah, that's right, that's my grandfather. You proud of your grandfather, Carl Brashier?
Yes, I am.
You had a chance to see the movie and,
Yes.
and see, and you enjoyed. And did the kids ever ask you at school, you know?
At my elementary school, but I think now that I'm in middle school, they haven't picked up on it.
Picked up on it.
Yeah.
But in elementary school, there was like, they asked you, and that looked at you like a celebrity, like, wow, your father, your grandfather was Carl Brashear, you know? And so you learned something from your grandfather and your father about life and doing the right thing?
Yes.
That is good. It's nice to hear that. Thank you for stopping by. Lula, are you hurt or something?
Oh no, I'm fine. It's healing now.
It's healing now? But thank you for being here and be able to introduce your father and being here and show people where you look like you're gonna be a tall guy too. So thanks, man. Thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, this is your youngest?
Yes.
Let's take another call real quick and see. Wow, if you can turn your TV down, please turn your TV down or call back. People like to hear themselves on TV,
right.
And they don't understand. You have to turn your TV down so we be able to hear you. Call back again. Now, your son looks at you, and he's proud of you. I can kind of see that in his eyes. I kind of see that he's proud of his father, and knowing that he see you as a pilot.
Right.
You know, it's probably bring a little smile to his face. Your son is fulfilling what you think that one day maybe he's going to be?
Well, you know, I always feel that out of respect, I should live a life in honor of my parents.
Right.
So, you know, even though I'm not perfect, I'm far from perfect, I try to do the right thing most of the time. So I feel that's my way of showing respect to my father who's deceased and my mother who's still living in Portsmouth. So if I live a life that shows honor and respect to them, and my son sees that, then he'll do the same thing for me and my wife.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful. I mean, you know, just to see, you know, I hope kids are watching this because I really put it out there. I let people know that, I mean, you need to watch this. Have your kids in front of the TV. They need to see what you should be able to step into. No matter what you do in life, you should be able to say, you know, I want to be the perfect police officer. I want to be the perfect astronaut. I want to be the perfect pilot. Let's take this call. Caller, you in there?
Yeah. Hello?
Hello?
Hey, David?
Yes.
Hey, I'm really enjoying your show today, man.
Thank you, thank you.
I would like to ask the guest, Mr. Brashier, a question.
Go ahead.
How you doing, sir?
Good, I'm doing fine.
Yes, I know your father probably had a whole lot of stories to tell you when you were growing up. Could you share one with us?
Good question.
I was thinking of that when you're talking about my father in the ocean. He was out in the Pacific, and the sun does penetrate the water pretty deep. Okay. But he was doing some work in the Pacific Ocean, and the sun, you know, everything was lit up because of the sun penetrating into the ocean water. And he was working, he was able to use sunlight and do what he was doing. But he said one time he was under the water, and all of a sudden it turned pitch black. He looked up, and a whale was swimming across his head.
Wow. Could you imagine? I mean, you know.
I couldn't imagine that.
I mean, you know, I see, I remember when you say that, I remember I was in Puerto Rico and I would jump in the ocean and I was snorkeling and I saw a barracuda and I got scared. I was like, wow, I better get out of here. Could you imagine being on the ocean and see a, wow.
Oh, he said he could have reached up and touched his stomach. It just swam right across his head.
Wow.
Yeah, that's amazing. He said he saw all types of things.
We got another caller coming in.
Okay.
Caller, you in there?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing okay. How about you?
All right, I had a question for Mr. Brashear.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Does your father still reside in Norfolk?
Actually, my father passed away July 27th, 2006. I'm sorry, July 25th, 2006.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, that's fine.
What is your name, sir?
Excuse me?
What is your name, sir?
Vincent.
Vincent. You got any more questions for Mr. Brashear?
Oh, that's it.
That's it. Did you watch the movie?
Yes, I did. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too, man. It was a wonderful movie, wonderful piece. I mean, the first time I watched it, I was like interested in learning more about Carl Brashier.
Absolutely. And that's when I heard that he lived and still resides in Norfolk.
Right. Mm-hmm. And one thing for sure is that, that when I watched the movie, it was like I wanted to show it to different people. You know, I wanted to show it to kids to let them know you can do anything you want in life.
That's right.
You know, you should let nobody bring you down. Thank you for calling, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, we got another caller. Caller, you in there?
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. How about you, sir?
Fine. I watched that movie. He looked just like his daddy. Oh man, look, I'm a Vietnam vet, man. I'm gonna tell you something. Your daddy was a tough man.
Yes, he was.
I cried. I mean, I went to Vietnam when I was 17, man. I didn't go through. I mean, I went through some stuff, but your daddy had it rougher than when he went through, man. I just cried. I just watched to see. I was inspired, man. Boy, you look just like your daddy. Yeah,
my mother says it all the time, too.
I went to Vietnam when I was 17.
Well, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm 60 now, so.
Wow.
But I just inspired by your daddy, man.
And when you say that, when you cry, I want to tell you, I have some tears in my eyes because, you know, we think we tough, you know. And me and my wife we was watching the movie, and you know, she had a special place in the living room that she can sit down and watch a movie, and I'm on the other side, so I know she cannot see me. You know, when you see that movie, it kind of touches you because all the things that he went through.
Tough.
Yeah, he was tough.
I lied about my age when I went to Vietnam. They didn't care what age it was back in the day. They just took you. Some of these young brothers out here now, they need to go to service too. I thought I was bad, man, until I went to Vietnam.
Right.
I can imagine.
Are you from Richmond?
No, I'm from West Virginia. I'm a son of a coal miner.
Got you.
Wow.
Well, thank you for calling, sir.
God bless you, man. You look just like your daddy, man.
Thanks. My mom says that all the time, too.
Yeah.
Thanks. Wow. You know, he's right. Young men out here need to understand that we need to change. We need to do things different. You know, I see jails that they are filled with young black men, and they don't seem to. Now, I'm not saying that every young black man is we got another caller.
Okay.
I expect this is going to happen today. Caller, you're in the air.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening. How you doing?
I'm blessing yourself.
I'm doing okay. What's your name?
Good. My name is Reverend Humphrey, and Phillip should know me. But we did see the movie. We all went together to the movie. Greater Nazarene supported him. We love him so much. And I'd like to take this opportunity to say to Phillip, God bless you, and I thank you so much for keeping us safe. I thank you for serving this awesome country, and you know I love you. God bless your heart. I remember when Tyler was a little baby. Remember, and he was right in the palm of your hand.
That's right.
That's how small he was. And I have to agree with the gentleman that was just on the telephone. You look just like your daddy. So God bless you, Phillip, and my love to your family.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That is true. I do have a great church up in Mechanicsville.
I've been there. I've been to Great Nazarene.
Reverend Hall. Great church, yes.
Real nice guy, man. We and him, we can sit down and talk for hours because he was telling me how he wants to let the youth of the church be able to come to him.
That's right.
Because we need to change the way we do things. The youth is the future of the church.
That's right.
Caller, you there?
Yes, I like your show, and Mr. Brashear, God bless you and your family. But I have to make the statement, and you've gotten so many nice phone calls from so many people. But I have to say this in good conscience. Why, when we celebrate men that have served in the military, do we use the name and God's word, and we say God, God and everything, when there are young men and women dying in some way or fashion for the government? I would like to ask Mr. Brashear that his son, the beautiful young man that was on TV there just a while ago, would it be okay for him to go to war? And would it be okay for him to take a life, or his life be taken, and would the celebration be the same? No matter what the cause is, war is not good. And, God bless you and your family and your father's legacy and that beautiful young man. But the fact of the matter is, Mr. Brashear, if your son went to war and he returned home and they gave you a folded flag and an insurance check, would you be just as celebrating as you are now, sir?
I can answer that.
Okay, he's going to answer that question. Thank you for calling.
If I had to go to war and take a life, I am just a hand. There's a greater force that wields the hand, which is the heart, or the mind, which would be my higher-ups. I'm not getting political, but you have people in high positions that tell the military what to do. I'm just a hand. So if the hand shows this service, the hand is just doing what is commanded. I think he needs to take that up with the people that are in higher command, because I'm just a hand. I'm just the military.
Right.
It's the higher forces that control the hand. I understand what the gentleman is saying, but I have no control. I'm serving my country, but there are higher forces up in D.C. that control my actions.
And I'm gonna put a comment into that. We are here in the United States. We're free. We can do almost everything we want, except crazy stuff. If somebody had to come right now and drop a bunch of soldiers from another country here, we got to step up and protect our land.
That's right.
So it doesn't matter where we are, here or there. We have to understand that if the gentleman that just called, let's say he lives somewhere in Virginia, let's say Charlottesville, and his family's there, his kids there, and let's say, I'm just saying, the Russians are dropped there in order to cover our country, I believe that he will fight, because he don't want them to kill his family. I know I won't. I know I would have stepped up for it. Even if I'm not in the military, I will grab a rifle and go fight for my country.
Right.
I don't want nobody to take over to tell me what to do.
Right.
Pretty much when you're here, you can do whatever you want to do. You can join the service. You can do what the army is. It's not.
It's a volunteer service.
Volunteer service.
It's a volunteer service.
So whatever you want to do in life, do it.
Right.
But always got to remember that we got to protect our own. And if we don't do the things we do now, look at this. And I'm gonna give you an example. When the tsunami happened in Asia, caller, you're in there, but just hold on a minute. I'm gonna talk to you in a few seconds, okay? When the tsunami happened in Asia, okay, we was the first ones out there to bring food.
That's right.
It wasn't for us. Who else gonna bring it there? You don't saw Russia stepping up later, but you don't saw nobody else that said, United States is taking the foot forward and going out there and doing what they're supposed to do.
Right.
Who else is gonna do it if we don't do it? We gotta show the world an example. Yes, we got problems. Nobody's perfect. But at the same time, we help all of us. Caller, you're in there. Go ahead.
Yes, it's the same caller. I understand what you're saying, and I understand what Mr. Brashear says. My question still remains. Would it be okay for your son to go to war, to take a life, or to have his life taken and when they would come and knock on your door, they give you a folded flag and an insurance check, would you celebrate that?
Okay.
If my son believed that he was serving his country and doing the right thing, and if his life failed because of that, then I would just trust in God's. I mean, we don't know God's mind, but if my son feels as though he was serving his country in good faith, regardless of what happens to him, I would have to just feel that that's God's will.
Well, it's a good answer. I mean, the caller, he brought an important question to him. Sometimes we have to step back and wait for events to happen.
Right.
And we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how life is going to carry us.
Right.
Or what we're going to do in the future. We can pretend that we are going to do certain things in life, but tomorrow is not promised.
That's right.
We can leave. I can leave right here, right now, and have a heart attack driving home, and thinking that tomorrow I'm going to do certain things. So we don't know what's going to happen. All we can do is prepare ourselves to be ready to whatever comes to us.
Right.
And people need to understand that, yes, sometimes, if it was a draft, that gentleman they just called, if his son was drafted by the military right now and saying, we had a big war, and his son had to go there and fight, you think his son is going to sit back and say, I'm not shooting nobody? If somebody coming to you in a rifle, a gun, or a knife, I'm sure I'm going to pull the trigger, because we don't know what will happen in the future. And now we got a short time before we have to leave, and we got about 2 minutes left. Anything you want to talk about your father before we go?
Well, there's three things, and this probably goes back to the call we just called. There's three things that you have to believe in to be a viable citizen in today's world. First, by the sin of Adam in the Garden of Eden, you have to work. You have to work. Second thing is, you have to always educate yourself. No matter how old you are, education is a lifetime. The third most important thing is, to tie all those things together, you have to believe in something great in yourself. If God, family, country, if you're living in this world and you think you're the center of it, you're living in a small world. You've got to believe in something bigger than yourself. And I'm not preaching and I'm not telling anybody what religion to believe in, but you've got to believe in something greater than yourself. We're just dust on this earth. We're just dust.
That's right. And we dust, and when we die, we will become dust again.
That's exactly right.
And the main important thing is, people out there, and young men and young ladies, respect yourself.
That's right.
Respect your parents, and go out there into the world, prove to the world that you can do better than what you're doing now.
That's right.
And I'm so happy that I was able to bring you here. I know you got a lot of things to do besides being on this little tiny show, but to me is the character you bring, what your father did, and what we're gonna keep doing forward. And I'm so happy that you're here. I'm so happy that Mr. Hall, Reverend Hall, was able to contact you and get you to my show. Actually, this is my last day for my show. My show won't start again until May 2nd. And I'm planning to do all the things like this to bring to the people, so people get to know what it's all about, how we need to change our ways. Thank you, sir, for coming over here today. I appreciate it. I'm glad you bring all these photos that you brought to us. We got about a minute left, and it was wonderful to know about the story. I feel like I'm in Hollywood right now because I was able to see the movie, met the son, and able to bring him to the show. Not just that, but it's the message your father kind of bring to the world. I've been through it. It was rough. I was mistreated, but I persevered and I did the things that I wanted to do. And now look at me. I might be going now, but the legacy is still going.
That's right.
And the legacy is right here. And the legacy might be one day in your son and his son. We got to keep doing better. Thank you for being here. Hopefully I can see you again one more time at Ray Nasserine. Thank you, people. We'll see you next week. Sayonara, goodbye, adios. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.